the topic that I'd like to share today is how culture drives diversity. The real reason that we have strong diversity at Yum is because of the culture. So I think it could be quite interesting, and then it could be applicable to your work as well. Okay, so a little bit about me in this job. I joined Yum about 15 years ago. I started as marketing of the KFC brand and then Pizza Hut brand. And over the years, I have moved around the company. Whenever they don't have functional leaders, I raise my hand up. Operations, okay, I can do. Food innovation, I can do. Quality assurance, I can do. But I'm not the expert in those areas, so I was just getting by. But the fact that I raised my hand up kind of like got me the attention of people above, right? That you can rely on, boom, to take it through if you have problem. And then I got promoted to the general manager position at KFC in May 2013. And I think it's a really good time because I felt I have a lot of power then to do many things about this. Yeah, and I'm very proud to say that I'm the first woman GM for Yum in Thailand. They have had Thai GMs, managing directors before, and both of them were male. So I'm the first female. And then another thing I'm quite proud of is I'm also the board of governors in American Chamber of Commerce. And that's, again, the place where it's very hard to find female as the board candidates. So each company has its own culture, whether by design or it just happened, right? GE is about performance, about competitiveness. Apple is creativity, I think. And then Home Depot is about customer. Ritz-Carlton is about service. And Yum, they say they have people-led culture. And then they also have in the mission statement that people come first. Because Yum owns food retail. So we offer our food through our people at the restaurant. So people come first. We trust in positive intentions and believe everyone has the potential to make a difference. And here, when I joined, I was like coached by my supervisors and encouraged to explain how to understand this. It's like we don't judge people by the behaviors because no one wakes up in the morning with intentionality to do lousy job. You behave in a certain way because in a situation you have a trigger and then you think of something, then it results in your behavior. So with the first principle of the culture, we always try to understand intentionality of the people and have the fundamental belief that people all want to do good things. Yeah. And then we actively seek diversity in others to expand thinking and make the best decisions. We coach and support every individual to grow in their full capability. So the last sentence, coach, a high expectation in Yum that as you grow up in your career, your role become more and more as coach. The one in the middle, we actively seek diversity in others. It's easy to read, but very hard to do in real life. Why? Because when I joined Yum, I came from FMCG, and I joined in marketing. When there's a replacement I have to make in my department, the first specification I give to HR would be, get me someone from FMCG. Right? And then another thing is, another point I learned is when I became GM, that the best way is to recruit people that are much better than you. And that's very scary, but when you have them, then you're on holiday all the time because they're so good. And then they're not the same. Yeah, they're different from you. Diversity in KFC Thailand. At the office, we have 66% females at mid-level managers. So for some reason, I think we're retail, and retail is detail, and I think men cannot really stand so much detail. So for some reason, we attract a lot more females. But quite interestingly, when it comes to director level, that ratio dropped to 33%. And I have it in my challenge at the end. And at the restaurant, 69% is female. And again, it's a lot of detail at the restaurant and many roles. And what else? At the office, we now have 9 nationalities, which is good. I'm so proud. We also just started to support the U.S. Embassy. They do the event of LGBTI, so we support. We're the proud supporter of that event. Yeah. Okay. Now back to the thesis of this presentation is that culture drives diversity. Here is a little bit to show like how do you make culture comes alive. It's very easy to say we have culture in the company, and even with Yum and me, with this tool that you see in front of you, it's still hard to make culture come alive. Yeah. So we have many tools, but one of the example could be this one. Is the idea that first you see level 1, level 2, level for each culture. So with this tool, you know right away what is the expectation of the company for you as newcomer level 1. When you become coach manager, what is the expectation level 2? When you become someone like me, mastery, what is the expectation? And then with each expectation, what kind of behavior that you do will help promote what culture. So it makes it easy, and it helps us focus on our behavior. So we have to role model, we have to show, we have to behave. Talking about it will not make culture happen. For example, treat everyone with respect. So if that becomes your day-to-day behavior, it naturally nurtures diversity, something like that. And it goes all the way to level 3, we have recognition. We encourage people when they behave the way the company expects in terms of the culture, we recognize openly. And for the evaluation at the year end, the performance, evaluation of an employee is not only based on the results they deliver, but how they deliver the results. Long term that I've seen people change, and it helped them to grow to become better coach when they're older. Okay. So to summarize the benefit of diversity that I see, and I think you guys appreciate, it's like different perspectives, solutions, flexibility to handle market, because KFC, we're in QSR business. Thailand is so volatile, anything can happen. We were going to celebrate Mother's Day with the record sale of the day, and then bombs happen in the south, and there you go, right? So the idea of diversity helps us like to always be dynamic. At any time someone would come with different points of view. And then but the last 2 points is what I like the most, which is personal growth. Can you have a healthy debate with someone? Can you really accept opinions that are not the same as you? Can you be genuinely interested in the culture of different people in your group? And the challenge, old versus young generation, this is also one diversity. How do we value both? It's not that old generation is not relevant anymore. Someone who's been around for a long, long time, they're not going to progress anymore in their career, and then young guys come in. But how do we make sure that we make use or benefits from both? Thai versus foreign culture. As you see in my leadership team, not so many Thais, so I could scare my Thai staffs away that Thais don't have potential in this company. So I have to be careful, and I have to think about how to promote more Thais. And women from middle to top. This is very interesting. I see 2 things. The first thing is like lean-in. Women who start to get pregnant already think they won't be able to work anymore. even though the belly is too flat. Yeah. And then another thing is women usually are interested in their functional role and not really interested in the overall business role. Yeah. But talking to some of you today, I feel is really changing. So I think it's the role of like the top person in the company to, as you say, go around and talk to every level in the organization and answer like, if this is the company's vision, but what's in it for you? Relating to that vision. If we achieve that vision, what do you get? Not money, not salary, not growth, but what is it? Yeah. Personalized. So I found that in terms of communication and relating to your team, small company have advantage. Yeah. And the more authentic the top leader is, the better it is. Yeah. And being authentic means being very vulnerable. Let them know like you're a human, you can make mistake and you say sorry, blah, blah, all of that. Yeah. And when you don't know, you can say, I really don't know this. Can you help me solve the problems? And they love it more than you try to act like you know everything or I know everything. Thank you.
Hello, everybody, and thank you very much for having me tonight. So my name is Mary Lucchini. I'm from France originally. Lived in many, many countries, as Katerina said. And in terms of my business background, and I will explain you why I'm here today actually doing what I'm doing, and why am I motivated doing what am I doing. I come from the business. I have a long business background in FMCGs and luxury mainly, in different countries, in France, but I worked in Russia 17 years. I lived in Spain, I lived in the US, in Turkey, and here now for 5 years. Why did I come to become a coach? Because actually when I was a manager and a director, I had teams. And as a director or manager, my question was really, how can I help my teams to be really happy, motivated, and do, well, what I wanted them to do, but just, you know, as a team and as an individual. So I started looking and training myself with all kind of tools, psychological tools, all kind, and I'm continuing, and coaching was probably the best answer I found with other tools, because it helped me to bring some answers. And today I would like to tell you about motivation and why do I want to talk about motivation. Let me ask you a question first of all. The first question is, why do you wake up and go to what motivates you to go to your job on Monday mornings? Why do you wake up and do what you do?
Makes me happy.
So, makes you happy, right? Many people won't have an answer, or many people will have an answer because I need to earn my life. An earning, yeah? Is that enough as a motivation? Maybe not. So the idea here today is really to speak and dig a little bit into motivation and see how important is it? How do you think important is motivation in your teams, in your companies, in your activities? Give me a number.
100 out of
100, great. A number. Everybody 100? So maybe I don't, wow. So then maybe, I don't know, everybody is highly motivated. I don't know. So maybe you tell me more later. But anyway, the thing is that motivation very often in the company is not really much understood, and I'll explain why. So today we want to see how do we describe, how do we measure, how do we monitor, and how can we think about maximizing motivation. The first question is how important. Everybody agrees that it is important, yeah? But now that you know that it is important, what do you do with it? Yeah, how do you tackle that? And what motivates people really? Do we know in companies what motivates people really? I'm not so sure, and we'll see some figures that show us that not so evident. How do we describe it, measure, and work with it? And this is very easy, I don't need to talk much, but what are the symptoms of a poor motivation in a team? Well, you can see Staff turnover, and I think everybody knows what I'm talking about here. Yes, this is a very difficult market where people are hard to find, competences are hard to find, retention is a real problem for everybody, isn't it? Absence rate, this is another topic that is also important here, right? Recruitment costs that go up if motivation is not good, training costs, outsourcing costs, all kind of consequences that every manager knows very well and would like to have a solution about. Productivity is not at the top. Customers may not be as happy as they should or served, right? Reputation may suffer if the service is not good. Profit might go down. All kind of nightmare we don't want to hear about. So let's sleep. So at the end of the day, the question is, what does the lack of motivation cost your business? Because it has a cost, right? It really has a cost, and we're going to go into that. And I'm not sure, did you measure the cost of lack of motivation in your business? You see, you don't have a cost. Well, you can have a cost, and you can measure that, because it is very important at the end of the day, right? I would like to share a number of figures. You can go through, but I think they talk by themselves, yes? Let's say 5% only of the, and this is coming from Gallup Worldwide Studies, so it is really important figures that cover all countries. 5% only of the workforce are maximized by company. 5. 13% of employees are engaged at work worldwide. 13%. You pay them 100%, don't you? 13%, right? 87% of employees worldwide are not engaged actively. This is crazy, isn't it? 29% only of the millennials are engaged in their jobs. So what do we do? I mean, they are the coming force. They are the big force, so we need to do something about that. 24% are actively disengaged. And disengagement is doing a lot of harm to your business and to your teams, because people can be very negative and destroying your teams and your ambience, your atmosphere, and that you don't want that, right? 147%, the rate at which companies with highly engaged workforces outperform compared to the ones who don't have a high level of engagement. That's incredible, isn't it? In all the regions of the world, you can see that disengagement is really, really high. So in Thailand, not engaged, 84%. Actively disengaged, 2%. So we only have 14% of the people who are highly engaged. What is motivation? Motivation is energy. This is the fuel that you put in the engine so the car goes where you want to go. If you have no fuel, you don't go nowhere. You can have a Rolls Royce, you can have whatever. Yeah, a small car, no fuel, you don't go anywhere. So what kind of fuel, what kind of energy people have that motivates them to go and do what they do and perform as they should? Yeah, this is really what we want to do. And motivation is very much linked to our self-esteem, because people around us judge us. They see what we do, they have a look at you, yeah, and they have an idea, or even worse, a judgment on how you're good or not. But the worst is that you have a self-judgment, yeah. So you have to struggle with this, and this is also part of what was motivation. Motivation, we have a formula that is very simple. Let me explain that. Performance is, basically, we could dig into that because there are different levels, but the basic level is performance equals skills multiplied by motivation. Someone has 7 level of skills, yes? Motivation. Someone would be motivated like 6, or here we have skills even 9. Okay, 9, and motivation level 5. So we would make the multiplication, and we have a level of performance that is 45. It's a very easy way to start measuring motivation, Yeah, because you have people who have extraordinary skills, but as we saw, they're just not engaged. So you're not taking advantage of all the potential and all the competences and the skills that they could deploy to do the job that they have to do. Again, you're paying them 100%, they're giving you 45%. First of all, you need a direction, yeah? You need to know where you're going and have a strategy. There you have all kind of consultants, you have a CEO, you have a board dealing with that. But most of the people in the companies and in the big companies have nothing to do with that. They don't even know, yes? They're not really involved in the strategy. So then this is not what is going to motivating them, though they need to know about it, yes? But now, if you have skills and motivation that are together boosted, then you have a commitment. And if you have a commitment, you have a performance. So we go to the 3 Ps. Performance leads to productivity, which leads to profits. I work with a tool that is called motivation maps. And this is an incredible tool that was invented. This is one very recognized worldwide tool that has built a kind of a pyramid, a triangle with motivation, with 3 clusters. Basically, most of the people are leaded to achieve, to growing, or to partnering, yes, to be part of, yes. So these would be 3 of the main clusters that would, drive people or their motivation. And underneath that, we have identified and we work on a certain number of reasons why people would go to achievement or would go to growth and would go to relationships, right? And basically, those people that we have named searcher, spirit, creator for those who want to grow, experts, builders, and director for those who want to achieve, and stars, friends, and defender who wants to have a relationship. And why is that important in a team? Because the idea of this tool is that we map and we measure what motivates people and to which level are they motivated. And we map individuals, but we map teams, and we can even map a whole company. That gives you a profile of whom do you have in your team and what motivates those individuals in your team. Meaning you can play on the drivers that will motivate them. You can review their task and the way you give them the job and what kind of tasks do you give to the people, so you're sure that you give them what exactly they want and not what you want them to do. So we switch a little bit the kind of position to knowing better the people, to giving them really what they want. And if you give someone really what he wants or she wants, then she's going to go. And then she's going to perform. Different people need different things. That starts when you recruit. When you recruit, you need to know who do you want to recruit, what kind of person. So here you have incredible tools. You have all kind of assessment tools, all kind of psychological profiling tools and everything, and they're great. But you're going to identify your personality and you're going to map skills. You're not going to map motivation drivers, right? So if you try to understand who do you have in terms of personality, who do you have in your team really, and how are they motivated, then when you recruit, you can complement. And you can have this diversity that Kumpum was talking about. It's so important for people. If you have a team led by growth, maybe you want someone completely different who's going to be led by something different, because then she's going to bring a really great added value to your team. But you need to know that, right? So what can we say about an entrepreneur who has a startup, who is on a mission, who's very motivated in doing her thing, and who's not interested in money? We have a problem. Yeah? We do have a problem. Okay? So what do we do? Because you can have a fantastic product, yeah, and you can be great at what you're doing, but if you're not interested by money, if you don't sell your product, then you're going nowhere. So with this particular person, the whole thing was to work around what is happening around that question, money. But like 60% of the people who you give a raise after they told you they would leave, they actually leave 6 months after. Because money is not a retention tool.
It's never good for someone to be in the same job for 20 years. My learning curve continued to be steep because I was moved around or I got different things. So my learning is 3 years, and then people should be able to move. And then we need to structure the organization in a way that is flexible. You have room to move people into new job or different jobs so they gain new skill.
Even if you don't have the exact level of competency that you need, you can build on this. Yeah? Because you can always grow the skills and the competency of someone. You cannot change a person. So, I have been in executive search for many years, and what I know is that very many companies do not take the time to assess, as they should, the people that they are hiring. Yeah, a resume, okay, tells you a part. An interview, one interview, is definitely not sufficient to know someone. Yeah, you may make some tests, personality tests, that helps a lot to understand the person. But you need to understand the person in parallel with your team and the job. So you need to really know what is going to be the job about, and does that person fits the job, and does that person fits the team and the culture. So you need to know also what motivates the person. Why does she wake up in the morning and do what she does? So if you have this kind of answers, then you likely have someone who is complementing your team and that is corresponding to what you need for that particular role, and things should happen nicely between the people. There are some people who are not very compatible, yeah? But then as a manager, your role is to make sure that those people are going to become compatible, because diversity makes a rich team.
So what we find, people in Thailand in general, job security is very important. And what we found, mostly people who are older put more emphasis on job security. And then, and also now I'm just learning this chart, also relationship, collectivity, and group. Millennials are different. They're not motivated by that at all. I think they feel they're young and job security is not the time. They want to try entrepreneurship. They want fast results. And they're more individualistic. They're on the surface, we see, oh, your friends hang out, but it's less real than the older generation.
Depending on your age and depending on who you are, you're going to seek for different things. Yeah, and definitely the millennials are very, very much blue people, meaning their motivators is going to be growth, creation. They're going to be searchers or spirits. Yes, they're looking for freedom. They're looking for quick things. They're looking for recognition. They're looking for engagement. They're looking for ownership. And they are very, very risk-friendly, which is very opposite to older generations who were more looking for security, more looking for group orientation work than the millennials are. So depending on who you have in your teams, the thing is how you're going to serve them and giving them at work what they really need.